Welcome to Hooked on Wooden Boats, podcast episode number 216. I'm your host today, Dan Matson, aka Wooden Boat Dan. If you can't do it, nobody can. One of these days I got to come up with a new line there, but maybe not this year. And this is the world's first podcast fully dedicated to celebrating the art, craft, history, tradition, and romance of wooden vessels around the world. Thanks for tuning in today, folks. Great to have you on board the good ship Hooked on Wooden Boats. Got an action-packed episode again today. Like every episode. Featured interview today is with Bruce Tipton. Bruce lives in Port Townsend, Washington. Moved there in the 70s and started building boats and has done a lot of cool things there. His main gig for quite a few years now is building spars. He's an expert in that. Very fascinating guy. We got to sit down at the festival September 2018 and chat about lots of fun stuff, kind of his history and how he got to Port Townsend and what he's been doing. It was really fun. I've taken several of Bruce's Spar classes or presentations at the boat festival and learned a lot. He helped me actually come up with the design for the spar on my Scamp, which is it's a hollow mast, but it's a little simpler than a bird's mouth. So thanks for that, Bruce. Anyway, that's our featured segment today, so stick around for that. I have been working on the Scamp the last couple weeks. Next step is to basically sand and seal with epoxy. Part of it's already sealed, the inside of the boat and the deck and the cabin top and cabin sides. Cabin deck, cabin top, and cabin sides have not been epoxied yet. They're pretty much ready for probably three coats of epoxy. Interior of the boat is done except for a little bit more epoxy and a little bit of sanding. Once I get the epoxy on and all the sanding and puttying done, then I will start painting the interior of the boat, which is pretty exciting. Then what I've got left to do is varnish the spars, which are already built. I have to build the tiller still, rig the boat, install hardware, that sort of thing. So I am getting there, folks. And yeah, it's been a long journey, but that's okay. That's what boat building's all about. It's about perseverance. Builds character, right? Okay, that's it for the Scamp update. We're going to move on to the interview with Bruce Tipton of Port Townsend. So take it away, Bruce. Okay, it's September 6, 2018. I'm sitting with Bruce Tipton at the day before the Port Townsend Wooden Boat Festival starts. Bruce, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, Dan.
Yeah, it's good to be here. And it's a beautiful sunny day, like it is a lot at the Wooden Boat Festival. And so, Bruce, I think I first met you, I've probably gone to, over the last 10 years, 5 or 6 of your spar making or mast making classes. Uh-huh. And so that's how I found out about you.
And they're better and worse. If you've seen 5 or 6, you've seen a good one.
Exactly. But I'd like to hear a little bit about your story, because I know you came to Port Townsend, I believe, in the 1970s. So tell us about what brought you here and what you were doing at the time with wooden boats and that sort of thing, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, that was kind of... 1975 was probably about when I became aware that there was such a thing as a wooden boat. You know, I mean, I knew there were wooden boats, but there was no movement. There was no real. There was nothing like this going on.
Yeah,
you know, it was craftspeople. I look at it as kind of an offshoot of the crafts revival that happened in the 70s. You know, I was a potter for a while before I ever did this, and there was just a lot of new interest in handwork. You know, because we were all watching society take handwork away from us and turn it into some machine process. And so I think that whole crafts revival thing is kind of what threw me into wooden boats. I was being a potter out on the coast of Washington, and I met some people who were building a cement boat and some other people who were building a fiberglass boat. And then one of the people on the cement boat crew decided he wanted to start doing woodwork because they were going to have to come up on that phase. And so he built a little Chappelle pram. And it just kicked me in the ass. I just saw that and I went, oh my God, this is what I have to do.
Wow.
It's kind of how I got into pottery, how I got into photography before that, or silk screening. It's like,
okay.
It was a moment of passion, and I saw this thing. And I had grown up a slave carpenter to my father, building houses and furniture and stuff like that.
In Washington State?
No, in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And then actually I ended up in Washington State. My father was a nuclear administrator, and his company took over some of the reactors at Hanford. And so I moved to Eastern Washington and finished high school there, and then went to Washington State. But my basic sort of slave mentality as a kid doing all this work with my dad made me think I never wanted to do anything like that, and so going to college was like, that's what a guy like me does. He goes to college and gets beyond this, And so I went to college and enrolled in mechanical engineering and was bored to tears and thought, well, I'll switch to a more humane science, architecture, because I knew something about architecture, having built houses with my father for most of my childhood.
Yeah.
And it was boring. It was awful. And so I dropped out and became a photographer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which was probably not a great career choice, but, you're young and you have passion and that's what you want to do, so you do it. But anyway, the boat thing, when it came around, well, I skipped a chapter there. I went to college and I just went, this is awful. These hand tools look really good.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden that was like, I know how to do that. I feel comfortable there.
Yeah.
And so anyway, then I did some other crafty sort of things and moved around the country a little bit. But when I ran into this little Chappelle pram, I just went, this is everything I know. This is woodwork. It's got this amazing curvilinear form that had taken me years of I'd been an engineer, and I had to make pottery for 4 or 5 years before I made anything that didn't look like this coffee cup. It was like, no, things are straight up, they're cylinders, and in a few years I started to kind of understand Japanese aesthetic and shape and how curves relate to each other and all these things. And so this boat was just like, it was perfect, it was everything I knew. And I was kind of a motorhead, so boats didn't seem that far out of the realm there. So I kind of ended up as the engineer a lot of times in my early boat life because I knew how to fix crap.
Yeah. Was that little Chappelle, was that a lap strake boat?
Yeah. Yeah, it was Chappelle's little 10-foot pram. Mm-hmm. And so that guy was Sam Connor, who variously gets credit for having started the Wooden Boat Festival, which may or may not be true.
Yeah. Okay.
The 40th annual was a good event for that reason. A lot of people came to try to claim the title as the guy who started it. Funny. So yeah, there was quite a little liar's dinner that first night at the 40th anniversary. But anyway, Sam decided they were going to move the boat they were building called the Mo-Clips, and the crew in Bellingham that I knew was building a boat called the Odal, and it was the original Skookum 47. Skookum was the fiberglass boat builder here in Port Townsend at that time.
Yeah.
So these two big boats were coming here, and Sam decided that Port Townsend was a pretty cool place, and I came up here and looked it over and went, yeah, this is a really cool place. So we rented a little building down the street where the Glacier Spirit office is now, and started making 8-foot handy-andy William Atkin design dinghies, lap strake, 10 strakes. We thought it was a challenging boat. We wanted to try to build something hard, and it was 8 foot 4 by 4 foot 2 and had shape in all the right places. So it was like, okay, if we can do this, we can probably figure this out. And so I signed up with Sam, and I built Sam's, well, it's mythology, but I always say I built Sam's first 10 boats for $100 a boat.
Wow.
Sam claims a lot of boats, and Sam was instrumental in a lot of boat building, but Sam did not build this many boats. But anyway, so that's kind of how I got into it. And so we moved into the bigger building at the sail loft.
Okay.
And we built 8-foot handy-andy dinghies, and when we finished one, we'd put it out on the street in front of the place with I think we were selling them for $750 or $850.
Yeah.
And somebody would come and buy it. We thought we were printing money,
Wow.
And so anyway, it just kind of grew out of that, and I never left. I've escaped Port Townsend a few times to go other places to do boat jobs or one thing and another. But this place kind of captured me just because it was such a supportive atmosphere to do this. It wasn't really going on. If you wanted to do something in Port Townsend in 1976, somebody came and shook your hand and went, "Really? You'll rent this warehouse and you'll give us $50 a month?" And so there were a lot, when I moved here, there were 5 piers out on the waterfront, and they were full of people. Within a couple of years, there was stuff going on. There were guitar builders and, all sorts of crafty kind of stuff happening in this kind of abandoned town. This was a town that people had just kind of left.
Really?
And, now it's come full circle. My friends and I all moved here when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
And now I think the median age in Port Townsend is 59 or something, So suddenly we're the old people,
Yeah, right.
But we stuck together, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I just kept, we built bigger and bigger boats with Sam, and then I moved across the street over here and built a Pete Color schooner, a 37-foot Presto Sharpie, and a little cat boat that I drew based on a Chappelle cat boat that I had built a couple of Providence River boats, and so I blew it up to 18 feet and built one of those. That boat lives over in the other corner of the marina, still has its original owner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Little boats survive their owners better,
Yeah.
The 3 little boats that my wife Jana owns, she has one of 3 boats that were built here 35 years ago, and they all have their original owners.
Really?
They were copies of a Danish junior folk boat.
Oh, she was telling me about it. She's got one down here by Lorraine.
Right.
Yeah.
And Bertram Levy, a local urologist here at the time, had the original of this boat, and Sam and myself and some other people took the lines off of it, and we built 3 of them. I actually left the shop during that process, and some other people did it, but 3 of them got built here.
Yeah.
And they all are still here with their original owners.
Oh, that is cool.
Which, to me, is like a very unusual boat story.
Yeah, very unusual.
You were telling me about the number of scamps you've gone through.
Right, right. Yeah. So how long did you work with Sam, Bruce?
Oh, probably 4 or 5 years before I moved over here. Maybe not quite that long. I kept working with him even after I left the shop. We still did stuff together. But I moved over here to build this color schooner.
Did you build it for a client?
For Carol Hasse.
Oh, you built it for Carol Hasse?
And her girlfriend at the time.
Oh, wow.
And they ended up selling it before it ever got really done. And it moved to Bellingham and lives up there now. But
oh, it is? So it's still alive up there?
It's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a carvel planked boat?
Yeah. That was inch and a half, about 1 3/4 red cedar on 1 1/4 by 3 inch flat bent oak frames.
Oh, wow. Sounds pretty stout.
It was stout, yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty serious little boat.
Yeah.
They wanted to sail the ocean, and they wanted a centerboard boat, and so that was the Presto was the model they chose as a seaworthy, shallow boat.
Yeah.
And they seem to have a pretty good reputation. There's people who are terrified of them and people who have sailed them all over the world, so... You could say the same thing about the Spray, right?
Yeah,
everybody would tell you the Spray is a shitty sailboat, but everybody who's had one has sailed at huge distances, and done fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever talk to George Maynard?
No.
He built a Spray when he retired out of the Navy and sailed it around the world, and then got rid of it, and then he built the boat Zulu out here.
I've seen Zulu, yeah.
Yeah, he and his second wife built Zulu.
Okay.
And I don't think that they sold that a few years ago. But he wrote a great book about sailing around the world on his Spray copy, and he loved the boat.
Yeah, very cool.
Not an upwind boat, but who wants to sail upwind?
Yeah, exactly. You try to avoid that, right?
That's not to be done.
Yeah,
I do a little bit of 6-meter racing. That's the only time I go upwind.
Oh, okay.
Because they just go upwind and downwind. They don't even bother with a triangle.
Yeah, interesting. So, did you build some other big boats then?
Well, what happened to me, I was building that color boat, and Port Townsend Boat Works at the same time was building a trawler called the China Cove. That was a lovely wooden boat, new construction. Both of us were doing new construction. And the boat festival had kind of evolved in those first couple of years, and we'd had seminars in association with the festival, and got a lot of people to come in and talk, and it's kind of how this thing grew into all the lectures and all that stuff. But it used to be a whole separate part of it that happened for a week beforehand. And one of the people who came and lectured there was Bob Prothero.
Okay, yeah.
And
Started
Bob
the boat school.
went nuts because here were all these young kids who wanted to know what he knew. It's the same thing I was talking about when we came here, and it's like we were all trying to find some handle into craft, you know, and how did these things get done? And Bob was enthralled by the idea that all these kids wanted to know, and that was the birth of the boat school. Libby Palmer, I think, was the director of the Boat Foundation back then, and she and Bob hatched a plan and started the Northwest School.
Wow.
There were probably other people involved. I probably don't have all of the facts there, but basically it was an outgrowth. And so I've always gotten a big kick out of the sort of rivalry between the boat school and the Boat Foundation, you know, because they were kind of born of the same loins.
Yeah, interesting.
And they've learned to get along over the years. But, but they suffer because they both are nonprofits trying to draw money out of the same basic community. You know?
Yeah, right.
So,
right. Yeah.
Boat Foundation's done an awfully good job of it, I have to say.
Right. Yeah. So,
but anyway, I lost my thread there. Excuse me.
No problem.
So I was building the Omorca, this color boat, and the China Cove was getting built on the other end, and then Bob Prothero started the boat school. That was the end of new boat construction in Port Townsend.
Really?
Yeah, because nobody's going to hire me or Mark Burns to build a boat for what it actually costs to build a boat if you can go to the boat school and get a boat for twice the cost of materials. Right?
Really?
I mean, and you know what construction is. Construction's 20% materials and 80% labor.
Yeah. Right.
And so, you know, it's a little different in different trades, but nominally it's all about labor.
Yeah.
And so the boat school killed that equation.
Yeah.
You know, so I never got to build another new wooden boat except maybe a skiff or something here or there.
Oh, wow.
And PT Boatworks never built another new wooden boat. They, you know, we both had good repair careers, and I always say boat school's been very, very good to Bruce because I've repaired a lot of their work. And I'm okay with that, and they're okay with that. But that kind of stopped it. That, you know, we had this like little revival coming, and they kind of took our wind.
Wow.
And they've done great. They have built a lot of boats, you know, because owners can come there and enroll in the school, work on their own boat, and walk away for basically a couple of times the cost of materials with a boat. Which, you know, nobody can offer that.
Right, right.
It's just not physically possible unless you have staff that pays you, which is what the boat school has. You know?
Yeah,
it's a good niche.
Yeah,
I wish I'd seen that.
Yeah. So what did you do then after that happened?
Well, then I basically started building masts mostly at that point because I thought, well, okay, everybody wants to build boats. I've got to find a narrower niche here that is more terrifying to more people. And for some reason, masts are spooky to people. You know, they're tall and skinny, and they depend on glue, and they're kind of mysterious, you know.
Yeah.
They point up there, you never get to go to the top, right? Unless you're kind of a whack job.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, this is a good place to focus, you know, because it's a specialized thing, and I'm not a bad woodworker. I do okay. I mean, I've got friends who make me feel like a hack, but I'm still pretty competent. I've only done this for 65 of the 75 years I've been alive. You know? But I basically switched over to doing masts because that was something that when people wanted it, they just wanted to know you knew how to do it.
Oh, okay.
And they would just kind of let you do it. And if you were, I did a lot of yacht rebuild kind of stuff, you know, somebody's boat needs a new interior. I was a good engineer, and so I was good at systems and all that kind of stuff. That's how I ended up on the Ragland, was as the engineer, because I could fix all the crap. Yeah. And ultimately I was the mate, and 20 years later I was the captain after 18 years of absence. But
really?
Revolution on board.
Yeah, okay.
But,
So you started building masts in, and you kind of stuck with that for the most part.
And I kind of stuck with it because there's a lot of varieties of masts. That's what makes it kind of fun. Is that you know, the masts on the Adventurous are trees, right? They're big fir trees that I supplied. Kid Africa shaped them. I built the boom. It's another fir tree, but you know, those are all solid, which is what everything was until like there really weren't any hollow masts till about 1900, and people started experimenting with the
In
idea.
1900 they did.
Yeah, 1885, there was a hollow bowsprit on a boat called the Black Maria that crossed the Atlantic, and everybody thought it was a big deal.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
the trouble was glues were shit.
Oh.
You know, and so when they made something like that, they had to build it like a barrel and put bands on it, or do some other things to reinforce it. So they kind of canceled the weight gain. The loss that they had accomplished by hollowing was offset by the weight. But you've heard my talks, and it's a hollow tube is always stronger than a solid rod, and so it was a good evolution. But it took a long time for glue to catch up to where that could really be done. And somewhere. Well, World War II, glue really took off. Waterproof glue became a reality.
Was that like the Resourcinol, or?
Well, the Resourcinol is a two-part, and it's waterproof, but it's a little bit different. Most of the glues up to that time were they were casein glues. The guy who actually came up with waterproof plywood glue, I believe his name was Haskell, and he was in Michigan, and he based his glue on blood from the Chicago stockyards. That was where he got the protein. Milk glues are based on linking polymers, or linking proteins, And the Egyptians had milk glues.
Wow.
King Tut's coffin is glued together with casein glue.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, as glues got better, then it got to be more practical. Hershoff in 1905 said, he could make a hollow mast and it would be really strong and fabulous, and engineering was all good, but there was no glue really capable of holding it together for more than a short time. And so by the 20s, there started to be urea formaldehydes and tougher, more waterproof glues, and so those things started to come into actual use as a believable thing. They didn't just come apart in a season. And epoxies, of course, transformed a whole of that because they deal with moisture in a whole different way. That's changed the entire chemistry of how things are assembled.
So what glues were you using initially when you got into spar building?
I used weldwood initially.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Was that powder and water?
Yeah, it's brown
basically?
powder and water, yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit of beer in it if you want to accelerate it.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Cabinet maker taught me that.
That's funny.
I would never do that in a mast because I always use the slowest possible glue.
Oh.
Because my worst nightmare is that the glue starts to go off before I'm done.
Yeah.
And so, when I use epoxy, I have somebody else mix so that they just give me a little tiny bit at a time.
Oh.
So that I'm always spreading it out.
Oh.
So that, because if it's contained, it generates heat.
Yeah.
It's over.
Right.
But if you can keep it moving, then I can usually go 2 hours from the time I first squirt glue out of the can until I'm assembled. I figure I've got a 2-hour window to put the whole thing together.
Yeah.
And if I haven't made it by then, I better start breaking it down and wiping the glue off. And that has happened. Yes, that has happened.
Oh, man,
yes.
Bruce.
Not where you want to be when you're claiming to be the expert.
Yeah. When did you start using epoxy yourself?
Well, probably in the mid-'80s or early '80s even. We used a whole bunch of different epoxies in Sam Connor's shop. There were a lot of local recipes. Cold Cure was an epoxy out of, I think, Vancouver. System 3 was somewhere out here. I kind of settled on West just because I liked their technical support and everybody I met from the company. And if you ever had a problem, God, you send them a sample, they'd burn it in the mass spectrometer, tell you how much resin was in it.
Really?
I mean, they're on top of it. They really want to know. If you have something that's not working, they want to help you figure out how.
Yeah.
And so I love that about them.
Yeah. So you use mostly West System?
So I'm pretty much exclusively West System. There's a great interview with me in the local paper from about 1978 when I was first building the schooner, and my partner and I, Dave Acorn, were on this total hate mission with glue. We don't ever want to see any of that stuff in our shop. We use pine tar and red lead and all the real shit. And it's pretty funny when I look back at it now because it's like, who's this arrogant little 27-year-old guy, telling you that technology sucks,
Funny.
But I've come around.
Yeah.
I'm an epoxy moron now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you build masts and spars on what's the word I'm looking for? People come to you and say, "Hey, Bruce, I need a mast for this boat." And
That's pretty much the only way it can happen.
Yeah.
Because there's, everyone is individual.
Yeah.
They're stunningly individual.
Yeah.
For something that you look out at. I mean, a solid one, maybe less so, except at the hardware locations and all that. But
Yeah.
I've had 2 masts that I built that got refused for one reason or another. One, I think the customer went bankrupt and just didn't want to tell me.
Yeah.
The other one was just a political dispute.
Okay.
And it was silly. But trying to resell those, oh my God.
Oh.
Because they are so totally custom.
Yeah.
That, I've got an $18,000 Spar that's probably worth $45,000 in a different market that I still own because the right boat hasn't come along.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I guess that's another interesting thing about the whole Spar dilemma is the pricing. Because, I work in San Francisco a certain amount of the time. And down there...
Oh, you do now?
Yeah, and Sausalito a little bit.
Oh, okay.
The last few years I've been back and forth to there. I think I'm kind of done with that because I'm bringing a big project up from there pretty soon.
Oh, okay.
So I won't have to go down there.
Oh, nice.
But the pricing down there is just extreme. I mean,
really?
Because there's so much money there. It's just absurd. If somebody has a classic wooden boat, they'll throw $50,000 at a mast and not even think about it. Oh, you can do it? Great. And if I tell somebody up here, well, gee, I like to get $50 an hour, they're like, oh my God, you think I can find somebody cheaper? And I go, well, I could do it at time and materials for $50 an hour. You will get a fabulous price, or I can give you a bid, and I can tell you right today what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now that if I give you the bid, it's going to be higher than if I do it for time and materials, because the worst thing for me is to get to the end and not have anything left, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
So anyway, it's just funny because hardly anybody will go, oh yeah, I just want to hire you to do it.
Yeah.
Go, oh, well, $43,000, okay.
So you're bringing a big project up here, Bruce?
Yeah, an 8-meter boat, actually.
Okay.
A 1941 8-meter.
So how big a mast is that?
Oh, this is the whole boat.
Oh.
This is a total restoration.
Oh, you're going to do a boat restoration?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it will need a mast as well, but it needs pretty much everything. It's a Knut Reimer's 1941 8-meter. Very beautiful boat, but been just sitting for a really long time.
Yeah.
But has a great owner who just wants to see it be new again. And
yeah.
who
cool.
has the will to do it and knows he's not going to make any money doing it, but he wants to see it restored.
Yeah. Yeah. So where will you do that at?
I'll do that here in Port Townsend.
Okay.
There's 2 places where it'll probably go.
Okay.
The first one is a friend of mine's metal shop because it has a lot of composite metal frames. And so I think we may take it there first and do some of the framing, and then we'll move it. I have a shop outside of town in Glen Cove.
Okay.
And we'll probably put it there because it's a long-term project. I can't afford to park it in town.
Yeah, right.
The owner can't. Even if he's going to spend a lot of money, it's just obscene what it costs to store a boat in town.
So that's a trailerable boat?
Yeah, $5,000 will get it from San Francisco to here. No,
really?
It's not really trailerable, but yeah, boats move, associated boat.
Yeah.
Or a big boat mover moves it, just because it has to be treated pretty delicately.
Yeah, right.
We've got a 6-meter trailer for the boat that I race in that class that would haul it, but I don't want to take a chance on doing it. I'd much rather have, associated with 12 safety pads and straps and we drag a 6-meter all over the country, but that that belongs to one guy, and if it breaks we fix it.
Yeah.
If we break the Knut Reimers, we're in trouble.
Right. So as far as materials go for spars, do you like Sitka spruce or what other stuff do you use?
Well, I pretty much build out of spruce. The solid sticks that I do are all fir. Okay. Because it's just really hard to find a spruce tree. There's lots of spruce trees out there, but a spruce tree to make a mast out of needs to be about the size of this table.
Oh, wow.
Because you'd like to get your mast right here and just saw it out.
Yeah, oh, I see.
Because a smaller spruce tree is full of knots. Until they get to be 100 years old, they're not that good looking.
Yeah.
And from about 100 to 500, they get really nice.
Yeah.
Because they grow over all those low branches and just put on this nice kind of blubber that's just gorgeous. But you can't I can't seem to find a good small spruce pole. Somebody will say, "Oh, I've got spruce on my property. You know, do you want to take a look at it?" And they might have something that'll work, but mostly not. And I buy fir poles from pole yards, and so I can go look at them, cut down, peeled, dried for 6 or 8 months. I can see if they're checking. I can see if they have a twist to them. You know, a lot of trees grow in the wrong place in the woods, and they spiral up, and they make gnarly checks, and they unwind when they dry out.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that that's not going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
I got in an argument down in California at the Matthew Turner, you know, that big ship they just built down there. It's replica, you know, very cool ship.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do the spars for it, but they wanted to do it in a way that I didn't want to do.
Oh.
They wanted to use all their scrap and just stack build it as a big lamination. And I had meeting after meeting with them to say, you know, this doesn't work. I've fixed lots of spars that were built this way, and here's where it's going to break, you know, where this edge gets too thin and you haven't got the right grain. And they just didn't want to hear it. And their architect was seriously prejudiced against solid sticks. They check, and they, you know, they're spiral, and they're this and they're that, and everything's wrong. And I said, well, that's because you're not buying them from me. You need Bruce. Bruce goes to the pole yards. He's not going to get you a pole that's going to unwind or do something weird. He's going to get you one that's dry, that's got little bitty checks going in straight lines. Nah, we don't want that. So they built them the way they built them, and I wanted to go in the shop when they were gluing them up and put marks on them and say, failure.
Oh,
you know, but I thought, no, that's rude. That's just not nice. But I know that they'll come unstuck.
Oh, bummer.
You know, at certain spots, just because that's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, right.
I drew them pictures of how they could build out of the very same material, but make it in quarters, so they could put it together and have all vertical grain outside surface. They could have it hollow. They could make it so it wouldn't come apart. Mm-hmm. Basically, it would take a little more labor. Mm-hmm. And boy, they just didn't want to talk about it.
Wow. I
drew pictures on their plywood deck planking while they were building the pilot house, and met with the guys who were in charge. That's fine. You know, I'm sure they'll sail the boat like crazy, and it'll be fine. But I know that they'll be fixing their masts in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, right. So are you doing a lot of hollow masts then? Mostly hollow?
Mostly hollow, yeah. Like I say, the solid stuff is all fir poles. The other things, you know, the cool thing about masts is you can make, you know, a rectangular box, you can make a hexagonal box, you can make bird's mouths. That one very expensive spar that I had to eat is a bird's mouth oval. So it's got like 4 different sizes of pieces that make up into an oval.
Bird's mouth oval?
Yeah, it's like 7.5 by 9.5 or something.
Oh,
oval.
wow, Bruce.
I mean, it was a gorgeous piece. And
yeah.
It's still mine. So.
Wow.
So anybody out there needs a 47-foot exotic hollow spar.
Yeah, really.
Called in.
Yeah. So do you finish the spars after you build them too?
I won't let go of them until they have at least 2 coats of epoxy on them.
Okay.
And I prefer not to do that because that looks so good that people won't put something on top of it.
Oh.
But no, the worst thing, spars die from lack of finish. You know, almost all the repair work that I do starts at bad finish.
Yeah.
Where something chafes off and water gets in, or the sun hits the glue seam because the varnish is chafed away by a halyard or something, and that's where it fails. And so I'm really religious about I don't want it to go away until it's got a serious finish on it.
So what do you use for those 2 coats?
I use West 105-207.
105-207.
They're thinner, you know.
Yeah.
Right. I usually put a couple of coats of that on, sand lightly between them, and if I sand on the second coat and I don't see any place where I went through, then I know I'm sealed up.
Oh, okay.
You know, but if I see any place that I scratched through it, then I'll go ahead and put more on it. Because, you know, the epoxy, despite my 1978 prognosis, is actually non-osmotic. And once it's on there, the water just stays on whichever side it's on.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing if you're trying to keep finish on.
Right. And then you varnish over that then?
I varnish. I like Epiphane's varnish. Epiphanes, as they say. But, you know, pretty much any varnish will do. Paint's probably really a better finish.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it lasts longer, it wears better. But I kind of like varnish because you get to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind some stains in an old spar because at least you know they're just stains.
Yeah.
You know, where if it's painted, you don't know until the paint starts to peel off, and then it's like, oh no, that's not a stain, that's a big rotten spot.
Do you use satin or bright or both? Or
I've done both. I much prefer bright, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it higher maintenance to do bright?
I think it's less, actually. Most of what I know of satin varnishes, they don't have the UV component.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I think you'd want to put something over it. If I was to do a satin varnish finish, I would put a finish, like 2 coats of gloss over it.
Oh, interesting.
And it would still be satiny.
Yeah.
But actually, if you really wanted it, the way to get it would be to do a gloss finish and rub it out.
How many coats of varnish do you like to do?
I think 10's a good number, you know.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to say that.
I mean, 8, I'll stop at 8. But I try never to go below that because you just know it's not going to stay on there, you know. And I see.
If you have that many coats, it's easier to repair, right?
Well, it is. And the thing about that 105-207 epoxy thing is if you do chafe through even all those coats of varnish and you wear a spot and you're seeing wood, you can go in there and sand that out, feather it off a little bit, roll that 105-207 on it, and varnish right back over the top of it and reestablish your seal. It will blend into coats of varnish seamlessly.
Really?
Yeah. They love me at West because I like them.
Yeah.
One year I was giving my talk over there, and there was a woman up in the back, and she was nodding to everything I was saying. And I thought, she doesn't really look like a boater. She was like dressed a little too well or something, you know.
Yeah.
And so after I had finished, she was coming down out of stands, and I said, "Hey, who are you? And what's going on? How come you're here?" And she said, "Oh, well, I work technical support for West System. I really liked what you were saying." And I said, "I knew you had to have something to do with what I was talking about because you were really in agreement, but you just didn't look like a boat person to me."
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I used Epifaunus, or whatever you call it. Actually, the last varnishing I did inside of a canoe, I started with Captain's, and then I ran out, and I had like 6 coats on, and then I used Epifaunus for the last 2 or 3 coats. It went on so much better.
Oh, I love the way it flows.
Oh my goodness, it just flowed out nicely. It was just amazing.
But I like hearing that you changed midstream. My sweetheart does that, and it makes me crazy.
Oh, really?
She'll go, I got some old Dexolay number 2. I'm going to put that on, and she'll do a couple coats of that the next year. So I'm going to go Epifaunus this year.
Yeah, funny. So for small mass, would you do the same thing?
Yeah.
Like my little scant mass?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do this for the boom and the tiller? And
pretty much
whatever.
Everything, yeah. I mean, wood shouldn't be out in the open. This is all wrong. This whole thing, all these wooden boats, it's just wrong.
It should be a covered festival.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. So if anybody wants to contact you about building them a spar or doing some boat work or something, Bruce, how would they get a hold of you?
I'm at woodenspars@gmail.com.
Okay, so they could...
One word, Wooden Spars.
woodenspars@gmail.com.
Or at the iCloud or at,
Okay.
But Gmail works the best, it seems like.
Yeah. Okay.
They seem to not filter out the stuff I actually want.
Okay, good. So they could contact you and you could build them something.
I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate being on the podcast today. Anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, I think I've probably rambled beyond my means.
Done good, Bruce.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for doing the interview, Bruce. It was great to hook up and hear your story after all these years. I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. If you would like to connect with me, my email is woodenboatdan@gmail.com. Obviously, you can go to my website, hookedonwoodenboats.com, and there's actually, if you're interested in listening to past episodes, the simplest way, if you want to kind of see a list, is to go to the index page on my website. At the top, there's a tab that says Index, and then you can kind of scroll through and click and go right to an episode and listen to it. Or you can go to iTunes, but I think iTunes only goes back so far. Anyway, check that out. If you're building a boat or have pictures or want to share a story or ask a question, please shoot me an email. Also, if you do buy stuff on Amazon, you want to help support the podcast, if you go to hookedonwoodenboats.com/Amazon and then make your purchase, I get paid a small commission, which helps pay for the cost of my equipment and online hosting of the files and that sort of thing. So thanks again for tuning in today. Keep the bright side up and the barnacled side down. Wooden Boat Dan, over and out. God bless.